piece on. I've got that solid piece on the back now. We're going to put that corner piece on. When I sew it on, I have it on the bottom. There are no seams to worry about, so it's just easier to put it on the bottom. You're going to get the top corner even. Take those few stitches, leave the needle down, go down here. Make sure that your corner and the bottom of the other piece meet and the right edges meet. Sew down it. Readjust it just a little. Use my stiletto. Make sure that seam does not give you problems when it goes under there. But use your stiletto. You do not want to take a chance on catching a finger in there. Here's the piece we've just done. Now please refer back to your pattern or your picture or draw it out, whatever you need to do, and make sure the toes are pointing in the correct direction or you will be very disappointed. I have the first set of toes here that I want to go on my block. This is the set at the top. The other set will go right here. I'm going to turn this set down on the solid piece of fabric. I'm going to feed them in here with the solid piece on the back. Get the top corners even. And I'm ready to sew this seam. There are a few things I need to do on this seam though. I want to make sure when I cross where this point is right here, there's a V there, and I'm going to show you closer in a minute. When I sew across that, I want to make sure that my seam comes just below where that V is. And I'll get an up close for this. But that's very important so that you have your sharp toenails on your bear. Now I've got you in really close. I want you to watch as I sew over this V so you will see where you're supposed to sew. Hold everything in place. I'm holding the far end together to make sure it ends up together. Now as I get close to this seam right here, there is a V where this seam and this seam come together right here at the V. I want this stitching to wind up coming just below that V, and that's the point that I want to be sharp. So I'm going to use my stiletto, my seam ripper, whatever. Make sure that goes under there evenly, and then gently sew to where I will wind up just under. I mean, if you have to take one stitch at a time, you do that. Sometimes you won't quite get it. You can actually come back and take a little deeper seam, and that will help. But most of the time, if you don't get it, you have to take it out and redo it. And this is what makes a bear's paw so pretty. All those nice, sharp little points on the toenail. Now I'm going to keep that in there. Now the spot that I showed you is right here. This V comes down and I went just below it. And when I do that, my toenail will come out, oops, let me see if I can find it for you there, as a nice sharp point, and I still can't get it for you to see there. See how sharp that is? That is what we're shooting for. We want that nice pedicure on this bear. So let's get busy and finish these up. The last piece that goes on the bear paw is over here next to it. But we're going to have toenails and a solid piece here. The solid corner piece is not going to be a problem at all. But we want to make sure this seam right here does just like the last one. However, to sew this where I can see what's going on, I'm going to put this on top and flip it around this way and start at the bottom. And when I come to this seam right here, I'm going to do the same thing I did on the previous seam and come right into that V so that I make sure we have another set of nice, sharp toenails on this bear. We want him to look ferocious. So we'll get him started now. Get it going. Now the next place you match is going to be up here where this solid block is. So go to that point and get your seams together and finger pinch it. And then come back and start sewing. And you can move on pretty good when you get going. And when you get close to this V, you can stop holding on to that so you can get your stiletto. Once you put pressure on it, it's not going anywhere. Ease that little tail there under there. Go right under the V. Take a few more stitches. Now come back up here and get it even at this seam again. And when we get ready, we're going to go over this seam and finish it on up, and then we'll have this block done. Make sure your seams are going in the correct direction now. And they should lock. Get this corner up here even. Get the right edge even. Come right on down. Stop and adjust it if you need to. There's our second bear paw. Make sure when you get this on here that if your paw is here, your 90 degrees are like this. Your paws, they come up and out toward the top. If you don't get those in the right position, they won't look right. So keep looking back at your pattern if you need to.